Yes, I'm from Bridges Foundation, which is an international organization specializing in introducing Islam to non-Muslims and in training Muslim public speakers and presenters. Today's talk is about islamophobia. But before going through the topic, Islamophobia, I would like to make sure, since we all have Muslims and non-Muslims with us, I would like to make sure that we are all on the same bandwidth, because I am going to use some terms that I wish that none of us think that it means different from the others. So I will use today 4 terms. Number 1, I will use the word Allah. And I would like to explain to you who is Allah, because Allah is not a different God from the one of other religions like Christianity or Judaism. He is not a special God of Islam, by the way. I will also use the word Islam. What is Islam? Because some people think that Islam is one of the 3 Abrahamic religions. This is one of the things that is said about Islam, which is not true, by the way. And it is said also that Islam is the 3rd religion, which is not true also, by the way. So I'm going to explain to you what is Islam quickly, all of this in 5 to 10 minutes. Quran, what is the Quran? And I will speak about also Muhammad, because I will use this word a lot. So, number 1, when we talk about Islam, what is Islam? Well, Islam is an Arabic word that comes from a root, because in the Arabic language, words have roots. And usually, most of the words come from a 3 letters root. The word Islam comes from the root salama in the Arabic language. And in the Arabic language, there are 3 other words that come from the same root. One of them is istislam, submission. The second one is salama min al-shawa'ib, purity. And the third one is salam, peace. So linguistically, the word Islam comes from the same root of those 3 words: submission, purity, and peace. Surprisingly, the word Islam, idiomatically or Islamically, is a combination of those 3 words. The word Islam idiomatically means that if any person fully submits himself or herself to the will of God and worships God purely without any association with God, worships God alone, he or she should live in peace and harmony in this life and in the hereafter. So the word Muslim in the Arabic language doesn't mean literally a follower of Prophet Muhammad. The word Muslim in the Arabic language means literally someone who submits to God and worships God alone. Which means that before the birth of Prophet Muhammad, there were Muslims too. I will use the word Allah a lot. The word, well, I know that the word Allah sometimes is very problematic for non-Muslims. They don't know who is Allah. Is he the black cube-shaped building that exists in Mecca or something? Well, actually, Muslims believe that there is no God except Allah. And this shouldn't be offensive for others who believe in God, whether Christians or Jews especially. Because the word Allah is an Arabic word that means the one true God. So the word God is not an accurate translation for the word Allah. Because you can have plural gods. You can have a goddess. You can have derivatives, Godfather. You can have false gods. You can have Greek gods, Roman gods. But the word Allah means the one true God. It cannot be plural. It doesn't have derivatives. And, well, as I said, it's an Arabic word that means the one true God, which means that even Christians and Jews in the Arab world, they use the word Allah as well as Muslims to call the deity. To prove this to you, this is the word Allah in the Arabic language, and I know that maybe the non-Muslim guests with us don't know Arabic at all, but we can still play a small game. This is the first paragraph of the first page of the Arabic Christian Bible. Here, this word, at-takween, it means Genesis. Can you tell me how many times does this word exist here in the first paragraph of Genesis in Arabic? Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So the word Allah exists 6 times in the first paragraph of the Arabic Christian Bible. 17 times in the whole page, thousands of times all through the Bible. So when Muslims say there is no God except Allah, it's not only that this shouldn't be offensive for others. No, this actually unites Muslims with people from other religions. But Muslims believe that Allah is unique. So Muslims believe that Allah has no partners. Muslims believe that Allah is alone the creator of all the universe. He is alone the creator of man, so he doesn't look like any man. He's alone the creator of animals, he doesn't look like animals. He doesn't look like plants. Allah is unique. Anything that your mind can imagine, he is beyond. So you cannot imagine God. This is the difference here. I will use also a lot statements from a book called the Quran. What is the Quran? I know that even the guests who are with us, they come from either a Christian or a Jewish background, even if they're not Christians and Jews, but at least from this background. And Christians and Jews have the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Quran is the last testament. The Quran is the last revelation, the last and final book of God. The Quran is the principal source for every Muslim's faith and practice. And it deals with all subjects that concern human beings, including wisdom, doctrine, worship, and law. There are 2 basic themes for the Quran. The first one is the relationship between people, one and another of them. And the other one is the relationship between God, the Creator, and His creation. And the Quran provides guidelines for a just society, proper human conduct, and equitable economic principles. Muslims believe in all the scriptures, not only the Quran. So Muslims believe in the Torah that was given to Moses, peace be upon him, in the gospel that was given to Prophet Jesus, son of Mary, peace be upon him, and the Quran that was given to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, etc., etc. Because also Muslims believe in other books that came before those 3 books, the scrolls of Abraham, the Psalms of David, and other books. Let me show you what the Quran says about these books. How does the Quran talk about the Torah, for example? The Quran says, "Surely we did send down the Torah to Moses, therein was guidance and light, by which the prophets who submitted themselves to Allah's will judged the Jews." So the Torah was mentioned in the Quran as a source of guidance and light. Anything about the gospel? We sent Jesus, son of Mary, confirming the Torah that had come before him, and we gave him the gospel in which was guidance and light and confirmation of the Torah that had come before him. So the gospel was mentioned in the Quran as a source of guidance and light. This is how Muslims look at the books of other prophets. Muslims believe that there is only one God and that there is only one humankind, because there's no difference between us. Men are not better than women, whites are not better than blacks, Arabs are not better than Indians. Since there's only one God and only one humankind, this means that there's only one sender and only one recipient. If there's only one sender and only one recipient, why would anyone sane think that the same sender, God, will send to the same recipient, the humankind, different religions? So Muslims don't believe that there were ever religions with an S, but rather one religion. Not the religion of Muhammad, not the religion of Jesus, not the religion of Moses, but rather the religion of God, Allah in Arabic language, Allah in Hebrew, Dieu in French, God, the capital G, in Deutsch. So, one religion, one God, one humankind, many messengers and many books for the same religion, carrying the same message. It's as simple as that. change, names change things, but it was always one message, the message of God that he sent to all people. This is what Muslims believe. This is the Quran. I told you that the Quran is the principal source of every Muslim's faith and practice. In the Quran, we are told, say, we believe in Allah. We believe in Allah. And the revelation given to us, which is the Quran. And the revelation given to Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, and the tribes. And the revelation given to Moses and Jesus. And the revelation given to all the prophets from their Lord. We make no difference between one and another of them. And we submit to Allah, which means, and we are Muslims. So I cannot be a Muslim if I exclude Jacob. Can't. I have to believe in all the prophets, all the messengers, all the books. I believe we don't pick and choose. We believe in the unique oneness of God. We believe in the unity of humankind. None of us is better than the other. And we believe in all the messengers and all their books. I want you to think about this. Did you ever think about it or not before, that Islam is the only religion in the whole world which is not called after someone, not called after any group or a tribe, not called after any geographic region? Hinduism is called after India, a geographic region. Judaism after the tribe of Judas. Christianity after Jesus Christ. Buddhism after Buddha. Islam is called after who? The whole world knows how much Muslims love Muhammad so much, but it's offensive for them to be called Mohammedans. Why? Because we're not Mohammedans. We're Muslims like Muhammad, like Jesus, like Moses, submitting to God. That's it. So this means that since there is only one religion, through ages, for all people, it has to be suitable for all people. No one will provide you coffee except after asking you, do you drink coffee or not? Because maybe you don't drink coffee. Then you get your coffee and then you don't drink coffee. Tea, same thing. The only thing they put for people without asking them is Wasser. Did anyone ever ask you, do you drink water? Trinken Sie Wasser, right? Why? It's even a funny question. Why is it a funny question to ask someone if he drinks water or not? Because water doesn't have a color. Because water doesn't smell anything. Because water tastes good for all people because it's neither salty nor sweet. So it's suitable for all of us. The religion of God, which should be suitable for all people, from the Eskimo to the Amazons, has to be like water, pure like water. Shouldn't be limited, shouldn't be called after someone, shouldn't be called after a group, shouldn't be called after a geographic region. This is Islam. The problem is, every people try to color Islam with their color. So Arabs Arabize Islam, Indians Indianize Islam, which is not doing justice to Islam. So many of the things that non-Muslims see Muslims doing is from culture, not from religion. Many of the things. Many Muslims even practice things thinking that it's from religion while it's from culture, like taking off shoes in the mosque. It's culture, it's not religion. Many things. That's why it is the challenge of every non-Muslim when he seeks the knowledge of Islam to differentiate between what's culture and what's religion. Of course, this means that Prophet Muhammad is not the founder of Islam like some people think. Prophet Muhammad is just one of the messengers of Islam, the last and final messenger of Islam. There's a verse in the Quran that says, Muhammad is just a messenger like many messengers that came before him and died. That's it. He is a colleague of Jesus and Moses and Abraham, a graduate from the same school from which they graduated, the school of God. His traditions are called the Sunnah, which is the second source after the Quran of knowledge and legislation in Islam. And his people used to call him the trustworthy and the truthful. His people used to love him so much. His people were pagans, idol worshippers, and they used to love him. But as soon, they used to call him the trustworthy and the truthful. As soon as he became a prophet, things changed. They called him a liar, sorcerer, magician, poet. Poet is not bad, but they mean that he authored the Quran. And they tried to stop him by all means. They tortured him and his followers. They tried to kill him several times, and they killed some of his followers. The first martyr in Islam was not a man, was a woman. She's called Lady Sumayya. She was jabbed by a spear in her private parts by one of the first Islamophobes, Abu Jahl. And they negotiated with him. They said, what do you need? Money? We will give you money. We will make you the most rich. But please, stop preaching what you are preaching. Women, we will marry you from the most beautiful women. But stop preaching what you're preaching. Power, we can make you the king of Arabia. But stop preaching what you're preaching. And his answer was, if you put the sun in my right hand and the moon in my left hand, to quit, I won't quit until this message is conveyed or I die conveying it. He's the most beautiful example for all people because he was not just a prophet. He was also a merchant, a father, a husband, a teacher, a politician, a negotiator, and a warrior. So Prophet Muhammad is an example for people wherever they are, whatever they are doing. He was a reformer. He was the only person in history who was able to make Jews and Muslims and non-Muslims sit together and sign one pact. That this city is our city, this is our country, and if it's ever under attack from outside, we will fight side by side to defend our city. At a time when loyalty was only for the tribe. He was a revolutionary. Yeah, that was a revolution at that time. Today, Ban Ki-moon can't do that. He gave hope to billions of people through his teachings. One of his teachings that always has shaken me is this one. If you are planting a tree and the end of the world came, just go ahead and plant it quickly. What does it mean? Sounds funny. The end of the world came and you want me to plant trees. Sounds funny. I'm not going to eat from it. There are no coming generations to eat from it. Why do you want me to plant trees at the end of the world? This hadith, this statement of Prophet Muhammad explains the system. This means that on the day of judgment, you will not be judged according to your results, but rather to your effort. God doesn't care about your results. He cares about your effort. Did you do effort or not? Keep doing effort until the end of the world. Here in this life, you are judged according to your results. Your boss tells you, come here, show me your numbers, show me the sales, show me the production. And it's fair because the boss can't know the effort. He doesn't even care about your effort. God cares about your effort. He was judged fairly by many non-Muslim intellectuals when they read his biography, like Lamartine, the famous French historian who wrote the book L'Histoire de la Turquie. He said, if greatness of purpose, smallness of means, and outstanding results are the three criteria of a human genius, who could dare to compare any great man in modern history with Muhammad? Mahatma Gandhi, this man of peace, he said, I became more than convinced that it was not the sword that won a place for Islam in those days in the scheme of life. It was the rigid simplicity, the utter self-effacement of the Prophet, the scrupulous regard for his pledges, his intense devotion to his friends and followers, his intrepidity, his fearlessness, his absolute trust in God and in his own mission. And Wolfgang Goethe. Do you say Goethe or Goethe? Goethe. Okay. He said he is a prophet and not a poet, and therefore his Quran is to be seen as a divine law, not as a book of a human being made for education or entertainment. Now let's talk about Islamophobia. Because some people think that Islamophobia started by 9/11. No. Islamophobia started, as I told you, 1400 years before that day, before 9/11, when someone called Muhammad, whom his people used to call him the trustworthy and the truthful, became a prophet. He said, there is no God except one. And everything changed. Those who possessed power and wealth opposed him, and they tried to kill him, they tortured him, and they called him a liar, a sorcerer, and he was shocked. What happened? Just 24 hours ago, they used to love me. What happened? And God told him in the Quran that it's not personal against you. It's just that the evildoers hate the message itself that you are carrying. God said in the Quran, it is not personally against you. It's not you personally that they reject. It is the signs of Allah which the wicked are rejecting. So when you see them attacking Prophet Muhammad, they are not really attacking him. They want to attack Islam itself. At that time, they were unable to free the women and the slaves at that time. That's why they couldn't bear this message. They know that saying there is no God except Allah means much more than this. It means that you fear none except Allah. So your slave will not fear you anymore. And your wife will not fear you anymore. It means a lot. More than just there is no God except Allah. It means that you fear none except Allah. It means that you ask none except Allah. It means that you hope from none except Allah. It means that you complain to none except to Allah. It means that you love none except Allah and what Allah loves. It means that you hate nothing except what Allah hates. And Allah becomes the core of your faith. So they said, we can't. What's happening right now to the Muslims is exactly what's happening to this poor bull. It's a bullfight. They get the peaceful bull, they keep on intimidating him with the red flags until it loses its temper and it gets very angry and it runs towards its death, because the matador here is hiding a dagger behind his back. That's exactly what happened. 20 years ago, satanic verses, and then Danish cartoon, and then the film Fitna, and then the desecration of the Quran. The Quran was thrown in the toilets of Guantanamo, and then the hijab was banned in schools here in Germany and in Belgium and in many other places. And then the film Obsession, and 28 million DVDs of the film Obsession were distributed for free in America in one day. Go and type today the Obsession movie, 28 million DVDs, and you will see what happened in 2005. This campaign costed some people over $70 million in one day to distribute something against Islam. Because Islam is worthy attacking for them. Minarets were banned in Switzerland. In Switzerland, if you're a Christian, you can have a tower for your church. Jew, you can have a tower for your synagogue. If you're Hindu, you can have a tower. If you're a Buddhist, you can have a tower. If you're Muslim, you cannot. Why? Quran was burned in Florida. And the recent Prophet Muhammad's documentary that was made by some losers in America. That's what's happening to Muslims, because they want Muslims to lose their temper and to get angry, and that's exactly what happens. Muslims lose their temper, they get angry and they protest, and we don't really look very beautiful when we're angry. So they take pictures for us with their cameras and they put them on newspapers showing that Muslims are crazy. So what Muslims should do is expose Islamophobes. What we are doing today is exposing someone like Hertfielders who made the film Fitna, for example. Because what they are doing is a recycled hatred propaganda. It's something that's old. The same tools of Geert Wilders and Robert Spencer and those people are the same tools that were used by Abu Jahl 1400 years ago. They tell lies about Islam, and they use the dirty game of cut and paste. They cut words, take them out of context, and show them to people. And that's exactly what I will show you today. I'll show you what Geertwilders did in the movie Fitna. And they abuse the ignorance of their audience of the Arabic language and the Quran. So they work and they fool the non-Muslims. They don't fool Muslims, they fool non-Muslims. And I'll show you now what happens. Let me give you an example. If you ask me about my cat, I'll tell you my cat is pretty ugly. What do I mean? That my cat is ugly, relatively ugly. If you cut the word ugly, then my cat is pretty. Completely opposite, just by cutting out one word. This is called decontextualization. It can change the meaning completely. That's why today's presentation will not appeal to your emotions, but rather to your sense of logic. Every statement that I will make today will be justified on the basis of sound logic. For example, Film Fitna started at the first minute, because I couldn't actually download it from the internet and bring it here because of many technicalities and because of the time too, but you can watch it. 17 minutes that will make you hate Islam and Muslims. But let me tell you what he does to people. In the first minute, he started like that. You see the scenes of 9/11, planes flying through the buildings and the people throwing themselves from the 70th floor, 80th floor, because they are running from the fire. And the Quran is reciting in Arabic this verse. And you see this in the translation, in the subtitles. Prepare for them whatever force and cavalry you are able of gathering to strike terror into the hearts of the enemies of Allah and your enemies. And he says, see? So terrorism is a command of the Quran. So the people who did 9/11 were actually the good Muslims who understood the Quran. So becoming a good Muslim means you become a terrorist, because it's a command in the Quran. This is the verse in Arabic, okay? In the minute number 5, he brought this verse. It's recited. You see the translation. And he brought Kenneth Bigley. Kenneth Bigley is a British contractor who was kidnapped in Iraq, and he brought his beheading. So you see the Kenneth Bigley, the British Kenneth Bigley beheaded, and you are reading this translation. So when you meet those who disbelieve, smite their necks until when you have overcome them, then make them prisoners. See, so Islam tells Muslims to cut the necks of the prisoners of war, or the prisoners. فإذا لقيتم الذين كفروا فضرب الرقاب حتى إذا أثخنتموهم فشدوا الوثاق. Don't be friends of Jews and Christians. How can Muslims integrate in a country or in a non-Muslim country if they have this verse in their book? Actually, he did not use this, but some others are using it in other documentaries, so I included it in my presentation. So I'm going to even refute more misconceptions than what Geertwilders used in the documentary. O you who believe, do not take Jews and Christians for friends. They are friends of each other, and whoever amongst you take them for a friend, then surely he is one of them. Surely Allah does not guide the unjust. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا اليهود والنصارى أولياء أو بعضهم أولياء وبعض ما يتولهم منكم فإنه منهم إن الله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. Also, kill them wherever you find them. A verse of the Quran that was used one day in a debate. The first thing that the other panelists said against me, the first thing, this is how he started. He said, we are troubled to live in the same country with people whom their book tells them about us. Kill them wherever you find them. And you guys are not good Muslims, because if you're a good Muslim and you want to apply this verse, you have to walk with 2 machine guns. not one machine gun. Exterminator. You have to do like that because you have to kill them wherever you find them. Chapter number 9 in the Quran is already very problematic for them. And there's a verse in chapter number 9 that says, so when the sacred months have passed away, then slay the idolaters wherever you find them, and take them captives, and besiege them, and lie in wait for them in every ambush. He says, hey, how can violence be in a holy book? Let's see. فإذا انسلخ الأشهر الحرم فاقتلوا المشركين حيث وجدتموهم وخذوهم واحصروهم واقعدوا لهم كل مرصد. How can this be in a holy book? Let's see what he did. The first thing he did is decontextualization. This is the verse that he used. Prepare for them whatever force and cavalry you are able of gathering to strike terror into the hearts of the enemies of Allah and your enemies. So this means that terrorism is a command of the Quran. But when I watched the film, I saw that he turned off the translation, the subtitles, while the reciter is still continuing the same verse. He did not translate the whole verse. The rest of the verse says, prepare for them whatever force and cavalry you are able of gathering to strike terror into the hearts of the enemies of Allah and your enemies, and others besides them whom you may not know but whom Allah does know. How can the Quran tell me to terrorize people that I don't know? The Quran has to tell me who are them, which people to go and terrorize them. But how can I terrorize people that I don't know who? Therefore, this doesn't really mean terror. What does it mean? I went to give a group of American officers a presentation about Islam, and then after I finished, they gave me this medal as a gift. From one side it says the National War College, where they study, and on the other side it says Qui desiderat passem prepare bellum. And I don't understand Latin, but I typed it on Google and I found that it means the one who desires peace should prepare for war, which means if you want to live in peace, prepare all the power that you can and have a powerful army. Like that, you will live in peace because you will deter your enemies that you know and even others that you may not know, but they are getting ready to attack you. They will be deterred and they will not attack you. So it's exactly the verse. Prepare for them all the power that you can to strike terror, or it means to deter your enemies and the enemies of Allah and others beside them that you may not even know. Only Allah knows. So this is something that tells you how to live in peace when you have a strong army. Pakistan, when they had their nuclear bomb, they are not fighting anymore. Before that, India used to bomb Pakistan every single week. Since they had the power balance, they are not fighting and the Indians are not attacking them anymore. Let me show you the whole context. The whole context is prepare for them whatever force and cavalry you are able of gathering to strike terror into the hearts of the enemies of Allah and your enemies and others beside them whom you may not know but whom Allah does know. The next verse says, and if they incline towards peace, you too should incline towards it and place your trust in Allah. Surely He is the all-hearing, the all-knowing. And if they intend to deceive you, then Allah is all sufficient for you. He is the one who supported you with His help and with believers. Which means what? If your enemy, after this verse that tells you how to live in peace by having a strong army, so that your enemies that you know and you don't know won't attack you, it tells you. And if your enemies incline to peace, you should also incline to peace. And don't tell me that maybe they are deceiving me. Here it says, and if they intend to deceive you, Allah is sufficient for you. Just accept peace. When your enemy wants peace, accept the peace. This is not the context of telling someone to strike terrorism. But they will never show this to people. Again, see this translation. So when you meet those who disbelieve, when you see non-Muslims, maybe in supermarkets, smite their necks until when you have overcome them, then make them prisoners. Let me see. What in the same verse, what are the words that he took away? Here. So when you meet those who disbelieve, then smite their necks until when you have overcome them, then make them prisoners. Continue the same verse. And afterwards either set them free as a favor or let them ransom themselves until the war terminates. So this is in war, not in supermarkets. Not when you meet them in supermarkets, it's when you meet them in war. At the time when war was by fighting with swords. So God said, in war, keep on fighting them with your swords until you take prisoners of war. After you take prisoners of war, you have only two options. Either you free them out of generosity, like what Prophet Muhammad did, go, you are all free, okay? Or let them ransom themselves. You exchange their prisoners with your prisoners. What if they didn't take prisoners from us? You exchange their prisoners with money, compensation for the war expenses, but it doesn't say cut their necks. It says after you take prisoners, you either free them or ransom themselves. It doesn't tell you any other option. Don't be friends of Jews and Christians. Or you who believe, don't take Jews and Christians for friends. They are friends of each other, and whoever amongst you takes them for a friend, then surely he is one of them. Surely Allah does not guide the unjust. So actually, the Gaza Muslims should have gone to the flotilla and told people to go back because they don't accept them as friends or even as protectors. Because some people say the word awliya means protectors. Okay, the guys in the flotilla, many of them are Jews and Christians. Should the Palestinians have gone out and said, no, excuse us, you are Jews and Christians, go back? Here, this guy is Stanley Cohen. Stanley Cohen is actually one of the main lawyers in America that are defending the Muslims in courts against the cases that the governments are building all the time against Muslims in America. And he's a Jew, Stanley Cohen. Norman Finkelstein, I know that many of you have seen his videos. He's a Jewish professor. You see, when he goes to say, to give a lecture, he's putting the Palestinian flag on the podium. And Al Jazeera made a documentary about him called A Jew Swimming Against the Current. And he's amazing. Go type his name today on YouTube and write the word Waterloo University to see what happened between him and other people who are Zionists and the debate that happened between him and Zionism. He has a lot of debates against Zionists, and he's a Jew. Philippe Sands is a friend of mine who appears in my latest documentary, Jihad on Terrorism, which we have in the back. Philippe Sands is a Jew. He is an international law professor. He volunteered to defend 10 Guantanamo detainees who are detained wrongly, innocent people. And he wrote 2 books that he was tried because of them in America. One of them is called Lawless World, and the other one is called Torture Team, proving that George Bush and Donald Rumsfeld they gave direct orders for torturing the prisoners of Abu Ghraib in Iraq. And he's a Jew. We shouldn't accept this friendship or his protection. I can't take him for dinner. And Sir Gerald Kaufman, who is actually a member of the House of Lords in the UK, who stood, and this is also on YouTube, saying that my grandma did not die in Auschwitz to give cover for Israel to do the nasty things that it is doing, because all the time Israel is torturing the Palestinians, killing Palestinians, and they say, because we were tortured in Auschwitz. What does that have to do with this? So he said, my grandma did not die in the concentration camps of Adolf Hitler to give cover for Israel to do these nasty things. And those are all Jews. if you go 6 verses ahead, you will find 2 other verses that say, "O you who believe, do not take for friends or protectors those who take your religion for a mockery and a joke from among those who were given the book before you." It means Jews and Christians. "And the unbelievers. And be careful of your duty to Allah if you are believers. And when you call to prayer, they make it a mockery and a joke." This is because they are people who do not understand. So this particularizes and further explains verse number 51. Number 51 was a general verse. This one is explaining. It tells you, don't take the non-Muslims who make fun of your religion and laugh at your religion as friends. That's it. That's all what it means. And to tell you to have dignity and don't make friendship with people like them, it says, when you call to the prayer, they make it a mockery and a joke. If you tell me I'm going to Denmark this year, I'll tell you, enjoy it. Denmark is a beautiful country. But let know that among the Danish people, there are people who drew some nasty cartoons about Prophet Muhammad. Don't take those as friends. I don't mean all that Danes. So it's obvious. The context is obvious. Kill them wherever you find them. This is what the guy said. We are troubled to live in the same country with people whom their book tells them about us. Kill them wherever you find them. You know what I did? I took out all the money that I have in my pocket and I said, I will give this is about $100. That was in Washington, D.C. And I will give it to the one who will answer my question. How can you have more violence from a book of a kid in kindergarten? And they said, how? I said, if you use the magic scissors of Dr. Pat. Dr. Pat, this gentleman sitting next to me has a magic scissors at home. He cuts words with it and get it out of context. He used only 4 or 5 words from a very long verse. You know what are the next 5 words? Kill them wherever you find them and drive them out from where they drove you out. This verse is for people who were driven out of their homes, whom their country is occupied. Yes, fight the occupier wherever you find him. Get him out of your country. The question for Dr. Pat is, why did you stop at this limit? Why didn't you continue 5 more words? One of 2 options. Only 2 alternatives. Either he did it intentionally to mislead you, or unintentionally out of ignorance. Which means that he should have done more homework before he throws on us things like that. And I left the microphone and I looked at him. Everybody looked at him, waiting for an answer. Did you do this intentionally to mislead us, or unintentionally because you're ignorant? Let me show you the context. The whole context is, fight in the cause of Allah those who fight you. But do not transgress limits, for Allah loves not transgressors. And kill them wherever you find them, and drive them out from where they drove you out. And fight them on until there is no more oppression, and there prevail justice and faith in Allah. But if they cease oppression, let there be no hostility except to those who practice oppression. Tell me what's more beautiful than this. But this is what those devils do. They cut this part and they fool non-Muslims with it. Because non-Muslims don't know Arabic and they don't know Quran, so they are fooling them, not fooling us. We just go angry in the streets and they take pictures for us instead of explaining to non-Muslims what happened to them. And then non-Muslims go and vote for them. Instead of explaining to non-Muslims, we just go angry. This is the issue. See, look at the context. Fight in the cause of Allah those who fight you. So Muslims fight back. And even if Muslims go to the battlefield to fight back, Allah is telling them, and do not transgress your limits. So Muslims have limits, even when they fight back. And kill them wherever you find them and get them out from where they got you out. And fight them on until there is no more oppression. And if they cease oppression, Let there be no hostility except to those who practice oppression. What's more beautiful than this? I don't know. Chapter number 9, which is Surah At-Tawbah. Verse number 5 says, so when the sacred months have passed away, then slay the idolaters wherever you find them, and take them captives, and besiege them, and lie in wait for them in every ambush. And if they repent and keep up prayer and pay the poor rate, leave their way free to them. Surely Allah is forgiving and merciful. Surah At-Tawbah explains to Muslims the 3 types of non-Muslims in this world. There are only 3 types of non-Muslims in this world. The first type is non-Muslims who are sincere to their covenants. Non-Muslims who respect their agreements. The second type is non-Muslims who are not sincere and they don't respect their peace agreements with us. The third is non-Muslims who seek refuge with Muslims, seek asylum with Muslims. Let me show you what Surah At-Tawbah is saying. This problematic verse is number 5. If you go one verse back to verse number 4, it says, except to those of the idolaters with whom you made an agreement, and they have not failed you in anything and have not backed up anyone against you, so fulfill their agreement to the end of their term. So non-Muslims who are sincere to their agreements and covenants, we should fulfill our part of the agreement also with them. It doesn't say kill them. Verse number 7 speaks about the same type. It says, so as they are true to you, be true to them. Surely Allah loves those who keep their duty. Be true to them as long as they are. It doesn't say kill them if they are true to you. This type of non-Muslims who are sincere, who are good, who respect their agreements, they respect their signature, we have to respect our agreements with them. Verse number 12 talks about the other type. It says, and if they break their oaths after their covenant and taunt you for your faith, then fight the leaders of unbelief. Surely they do not respect their oaths, so that they may desist. The next verse says, will you not fight people who violated their oaths, plotted to expel the messenger, and took the aggressive by being the first to assault you? So we're speaking about people who broke their peace agreement, attacked us first. We're talking about people who attacked us. Okay? And then the verse says, blaming Muslims who don't fight here. Do you fear them? Nay, it is Allah whom you should justly fear, if you believe. So this is the type that we wait for them, and we fight them, and this is the type that we go violent against them. It's the type who go violent against us first. That's it. And don't respect their peace agreements with us. Let me show you the third type of non-Muslims. Non-Muslims who seek refuge with Muslims. If one of the idolaters seek your protection, grant him protection so that he may hear the word of Allah. Give him some dawah. And then, if he doesn't become Muslim, what to do? Kill him? No, the Quran says, then escort him to where he can be secure. What does it mean? To escort someone where he can be secure? That he is under your protection until he becomes secure with his people or somewhere secure. Which means that you will fight anyone who will attack him, even a Muslim. Because he is granted the protection of Muslims. That's it. So you can fight to protect this non-Muslim, and if you die as a shaheed. You die as a martyr. Because you are protecting this non-Muslim who was granted the protection of Muslims. Period. What's more beautiful than this? This is Surah At-Tawbah, and this is what it explains. Khair Fielders brought this Saudi sheikh, who is known for being a very moderate sheikh. And he translated his own words that he is giving in a lecture in a mosque to show that Muslim clerics are crazy people. And the translation says, houses and youth will be sacrificed. They will lose their heads in the path to victory. He said, see, This is the kind of lessons that they take in mosques. But if you listen to the whole words to his statement in Arabic, it doesn't say so. It says, the real jihad is that against the occupier. But houses and youth will be sacrificed. They will lose their heads in the path to victory. That's what he did. I didn't even need to look for this lecture on YouTube and watch it all. That's exactly what the Sheikh is saying in Arabic in the documentary. Anyone who knows Arabic knows that what's on the screen written in Dutch or in English is completely different from what is said in Arabic. This means that even Islamophobes are stupid. They don't even do a good cut and paste job. He is instigating people. He is showing Europeans that they are threatened by Islam. He said in Holland in 1909 there were only 54 Muslims. 1960, 1,600. 1990, 450,000. In 2004, 944,000, nearly 1 million. In Europe in 2004, 54 million, and you are, wow, from 54 to 54 million. Wow, this is in Holland and this is in Europe. Had he started the graph in Europe, this could be like 30 million. In Europe, we're talking about Albania, we're talking about Bosnia-Herzegovina, I'm not even counting Turkey. What kind of graph is this? That's not scholarly at all, actually. He is fooling non-Muslims. And he wanted to show that Muslims cannot integrate in a European country. So he brought in Moroccan Muslim in Holland who said, even though the Dutch law allows homosexuality and adultery, I will not do that. He said, see, they can't integrate. What does it mean? Can't I be Dutch and straight? Can't I be Dutch and loyal to my wife? The man said, the law allows these things and I will not practice it. Why are you telling people that he can't integrate? It's even an insult to Dutch people. Does all Dutch people have to cheat on their spouses? And then he ended the documentary by saying Nazism was defeated in 1945. Islam must be defeated in the 21st century. That's not true. Nazism was not defeated in Europe. It is not defeated yet. And I prove this to you by telling you that this guy is a Dutch parliamentarian. So Nazism was not defeated yet. This is the issue. The threat to Western culture, the threat to Europe, are those people who tell people that their enemies are their colleagues in universities. Their enemies are their neighbors. This is the real threat to European multiculturalism. What non-Muslims will never see in the free media is this, something like that. I show you this, but here. God says in the Quran to Muslims, Allah forbids you not with regard to those who fight you not for your faith, nor drive you out from your homes, to deal with extreme kindness. Because the word here is called birr. And the word birr is mentioned in the Quran twice. Once with the parents, your parents, and once with non-Muslims who live with you in your country and they are peaceful to you. You have to show birr like you deal with your parents with them. And justly with them. So you have to deal with birr, extreme kindness, and with justice to them. They will never tell you, they will never say here that in the Quran there is a whole chapter called Al-Fath, which means the manifest victory. The chapter is called The Great Victory, and it starts like that. Surely we have granted you a manifest victory. In which battle was this victory? It was not in any battle. It was a peace treaty called Al-Hudaybiyah Peace Treaty. So they will never tell non-Muslims that the Quran called a peace treaty a great victory, and called a whole chapter after that The Great Victory, and the chapter is about the peace treaty. Is this promoting peace or war? They will never tell non-Muslims that in Islam, Muslims have the most beautiful names, and those are the 99 names of God. Among them is As-Salam, peace. And the worst two names, according to the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, he said the worst two names, the nastiest two names, the ugliest two names, never use those names to name your children, are Harb wa Murra, war and bitterness. So the Islam teaches its followers that the best name is peace, it's the name of God, it's a divine name. And the worst name is war. Is this religion promoting peace or war? But they will never tell them this in their free media, because the media here is biased. And you as Muslims have to know how to deal with it. If you don't have access to the media, go and have access to them in the universities. Go and have access to them. I wish that this could have been in a university. Go, you have access in the streets. Talk to them everywhere. Give them something to watch, something to read. Screen those documentaries here and do discussions later on. And maybe the last thing that I would like to close with and then open the floor for discussion is talking about the original sin. Because the original sin, according to Christianity, is that Adam ate from the forbidden tree, and we know the rest of the story. But in Islam, we have a different one. In Islam, the sin is not inherited. But when we say original sin, we mean the very first sin ever committed. In Islam, we have a sin that was committed first, and that's not the sin of Adam. It was the sin of Satan, the devil. When God created the human being and he gave him superiority in knowledge, because Adam was taught all the names, and there was a match between Adam and the angels, and the angels couldn't name things. Adam named things. Adam won. So God was announcing that he created the boss of the universe, the human being. And he told the angels to bow down and greet and prostrate for Adam. This is the boss of the universe. He is the one that God chose him to be the Khalifa, to be the trustee, the one that Allah trusted. All the creation did, and they bowed down and they greeted this VIP creature, except one, Satan, who became the devil at that point. And God blamed him in the Quran, saying, "Why didn't you prostrate yourself to the one that I created with my hands?" He said, "Because I am better than him. You created me from fire, and you created him from clay. I am white and he's black. I am European and he is Arab. I am Arab and he is Indian." So according to Islam, the original sin is not a fruit that was eaten from a tree. The original sin, according to Islamic teachings, is racism. God told him, "Get out from paradise. You cannot act as a racist here. You cannot act arrogantly here." He was arrogant because of his race. So according to Islam, racists have no place in paradise. I believe that this is what the world needs today, because most of the crimes committed in this world are a result of racism. Okay. Like that, we finished our presentation about Islamophobia, and I would like to open the floor for your questions if you want.